Hello, and welcome back to Ask Dr. B. So, this is the next video in a series that I just launched on well-being. And I'm really excited about this series for a number of reasons. Well-being is so critically important for all of us, for our health and well-being, and for the health and well-being of those we love. We need to pay attention to that concept. And as I talked about in the overview video before this one, well-being is a very complicated concept. A lot of things affect our well-being. So I'm really excited to kick this off. I'm also really excited to share that this fall, WeBe, the company that created this channel, I'm the CEO of that company, also the proud host of this program. We're going to be launching our app, WeBe, into the world. And I'm so excited because it will be the first time that people will be able to better understand the elements that affect their well-being, better able to track those elements, better able to share their information with people they trust. So that's coming in the fall. If you want to be notified when it's out and free for you to download, go to webelife.com. You can sign up. We'll send you an email. So this series is really the runway, to get ready for the release of our app. It's something that we've been working on for a very long time. We're very, very excited. So in this video, the first specific one focused on an element, one of the elements that affects our well-being. I'm going to talk about emotional experience. But before I do that, just a couple of things again about well-being in general. It's a complicated concept. A lot of things affect our well-being. Some things that are inside of us are, tendencies, predispositions, genetics, prior experiences, and some things that are happening around us, relationships that are affecting us, our jobs, the world, our communities. It's complicated. Here's another thing about well-being. Our sense of well-being changes, kind of like the weather. If you grew up in parts of California, my home state, there are days that are exactly the same over and over and over and over, again, like in San Diego and in other parts of the world as well. And other parts of the world, you can go from beautiful, sunny, warm to stormy. That's kind of like us and our well-being. It can change. We can be doing well and feeling well, and life can be going well. And then something either from the inside changes that, or from the outside changes that. So it's changeable. And that's sort of good news, bad news, because if you're having, a really difficult time, there are things that you can do, things that we can all do to affect our well-being. And that's, again, what WeBe is all about. And then lastly, really important, and this is, again, why we're doing what we're doing, lots of things can affect us. Our physical health, what's going on inside of us, our emotional experience, our relationships, how much sleep we're getting, how much activity, our spirituality. The only thing we can ever do, really, the only thing we can control really is sort of what we do with it. And most of us can work on that. There are situations, conditions that affect us, that interfere with our ability to manage even our own thoughts and our own emotions. Sometimes those are intrusive thoughts. Sometimes, triggers because of past trauma, overwhelms us, floods us. And so as we go through this process of understanding the elements that affect us, and that, our goal is to help people have more information, understand more about these things, learn how to track them, learn how to share them with others. Also, please be gentle, be respectful of yourself and others, because it may be easier for some of us. Maybe we are, blessed to be born with, great genetics that make life sort of easy. Whatever's happening to us, we bounce back easily. We have a sunny disposition. We haven't experienced trauma. We haven't experienced sort of pain around us. It's hard to imagine someone like that, past the age of 5, because we all have challenges. But some of us, either because of our circumstances, what life has dealt us, no fault of our own, our physical challenges, the society around us and how it treats us because of who we are. So many factors may make it more difficult. So our goal is always to work on it, to bring more information, more tools, more resources. Okay, that's about well-being. So this video really focuses on what's happening inside of us, our emotional experience. And we call it that here at WeBe because it kind of, from our perspective, helps us think about what is going on inside of me. And how do I think about things, myself and others and the world, and how do I feel, and how do I address if there's turbulence or disturbance. And so what I'm going to talk about is a little bit of a self-assessment, things that you can ask yourself to kind of ground yourself in. How is my emotional experience? And again, it can be really good today, tomorrow, and the next day, and then something could happen that could change how you feel, how you think in general. So how can you learn how can you think about asking yourself questions to help orient yourself? How is my emotional experience today? So one way to think about this, or one piece of this element. So we're going to talk about 6 elements in these videos. This is the first one, emotional experience. And each one of these elements has pieces. Remember, I said we're complicated creatures. It's okay. Still, once you get the hang of it, it all kind of hangs together. So this is all what's going on inside of us. First, I want you to focus on, how do I feel about myself? Am I feeling like myself? So one is, am I kind of feeling consistently like me? Because some days we get up and we go, man, I am feeling off today. We know that, right? We know that experience. So am I feeling like myself in general? Am I feeling sort of solid about me, in myself and in the world? And in general, do I like myself? Now, none of us like ourselves every moment. We make mistakes, or we, are grumpy one day or whatever. But in general, do I like myself? How's my mood? Is my mood in general good? I don't have to be, effervescent all the time, but in general, is my mood good, or am I depressed? Is there something pulling me down that really colors how I feel about myself? So that sense of feeling like myself, that's one thing to check in with yourself about. In general, am I mostly calm versus in a state of sort of unease or agitation? And the agitation can be worry, it can be anger, fearfulness, that sort of sense of not being calm. Again, doesn't mean all the time, but if you become agitated, distressed, angry, do you know what to do to calm yourself down? Can you calm yourself? Can you soothe yourself? So again, now we're talking about the pieces of this internal experience of ourselves. How am I feeling about myself in general? How am I doing in terms of am I calm at my state of being either calm or agitated, anxious, angry? How do I feel about how social I am? Am I comfortable with how social I am? This doesn't mean that everybody needs to be an extrovert, but am I as social as is good for me? Some of us have a couple of really close friends and we get a lot from them. Others, of us have a ton of friends and we get different things from each of them. So just as you're doing this self-assessment, ask yourself, in general, have I withdrawn from my usual social interactions, because we know social connection is so important, healthy social connection, which is what we're working toward building with WeBe, helping people be connected to each other in a healthy way that's focused on well-being. Am I taking care of myself in general? Do I look out for myself? Am I, a good shepherd for myself? Am I eating well, taking care of my body's needs? Am I sleeping enough? Am I taking care of myself if I get sick? Am I tuned into my personal hygiene? Am I bathing regularly? Do I care about my appearance? Whatever the you is that is the best version of you, the one that you're either you're happy about, or the one you want to move toward. Again, we're all going to be in different places on these continuums, but they're either where we are and it's a way to kind of benchmark, or it's a goal. Am I moving toward feeling good about myself, being more calm than not, being more social, taking care of myself? And then finally, am I hopeful in general about my future? Do I set goals and then feel that I have a decent approach to reaching them? How do I feel about my future down the road? Can I see a good future for myself? And do I know what to do to move toward that? So these sort of 5 questions you can ask yourself help with that sense of, what's my emotional experience today? Hopefully you can hear, if you ask yourself those questions, you'll get a sense of overall how you're doing. So I'm going to give you an example of someone who may feel like excellent about themselves. And that doesn't mean that this person is going to feel excellent about themselves, about their emotional experience, every day of their lives, but this is what that might look like. So somebody who's feeling excellent at this point in time, I feel good about myself. I like who I am in general. I feel confident in the world, about myself. I'm able to set and achieve many of my personal goals. I feel calm most of the time. When I do feel upset or agitated or angry or distressed, I know what to do to calm myself. I know what to do to make myself feel better. I feel good about my social relationships. I engage with people I enjoy on a regular basis. I feel good about what I get and what I give. I'm taking good care of myself. Most of the time I get enough sleep. I eat healthy foods. I get enough exercise. I make good decisions. And I'm sure that I'm engaging in safe health and healthy activities. So I'm not putting myself at risk. And then finally, I feel hopeful about my future. I'm able to recognize the good in my life. I can see myself setting and achieving goals that matter to me. And if a setback occurs, because they absolutely do, I feel disappointed. I feel sad. I may feel angry, but I recover and I can move forward and I can set new goals and make new plans. So again, wouldn't it be nice if we all felt that way all the time? But of course we don't. And I should have mentioned before, but I'll mention it now. Well-being, overall, emotional experience, the elements I'm talking about in this takes work. We, just like anything that we want to achieve, we have to work at it. And because we are complex creatures affected by stuff inside of us that we are aware of, stuff inside of us that we're not, our physical health, things that have come from the outside, things that come from our past, complicated. So you have to work at it. And in the next video after this one, I'm going to talk about some things you can do if any of these areas are sort of, not what you choose them to be. But that's for the next video. All right, let me get back to this. So that's somebody who feels excellent. Now I'm going to give you some examples of somebody who feels, kind of fair, kind of in the middle. In general, I feel like myself, but I'm not as confident as I usually am, and I struggle to set and achieve my goals. I feel calm most of the time, but I don't always know how to help myself when I'm worried or upset. And I'm worried or upset more times than I would like. I have friends and I feel pretty close to them, though I'd like to have deeper connections with them. I take pretty good care of myself, though I don't always eat healthy foods. I don't always watch how much sleep I get, or sometimes I get too much. And I don't exercise as much as I would like to. And maybe sometimes I engage in behaviors that I know are riskier than I should. And finally, I feel mostly hopeful about my future. And most of the time, I'm motivated to set and achieve goals for myself, but not always. And sometimes I get discouraged. Okay, so that's someone who kind of, is in that mid-range. Hopefully you can see the different places that that person could do some work to improve their overall emotional experience. And then finally, and these are the people that, make me concerned when there are people in my life who feel this way. This is someone who may feel poor most of the time. I'm not feeling like myself. My mood is off. I don't feel solid or confident. I'm concerned about myself and how I'm doing today. Somebody who expresses that, we should all pay attention to. And if I'm feeling that way, I need to pay attention to myself. I feel agitated or really uneasy. I'm feeling anxious, worried, nervous, and or possibly angry, short-tempered, irritable. So a lot of turbulence, a lot of storminess inside of me. I'm withdrawing from my family and friends. I don't feel like being around people. I'm not regularly reaching out for help and support, and I'm not providing help and support to others. So you may be hearing signs, indications, concerns about maybe this person is depressed. It's what it sounds like, right? And then finally, I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not eating well, sleeping well, or getting the exercise I want to get. And I'm not engaging in, and I am engaging in self-defeating or self-destructive behavior. I'm concerned about myself, and people are telling me that they're concerned about me. And then finally, the last one, I feel hopeless much or all of the time. I do not feel that things will improve. So this is someone who's really hurting and that we should all reach out to and support. And if anyone is out there who feels this way, who is hearing my words, please reach out for help. Contact a mental health professional. You can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Press 1 if you're a veteran. I got distracted when I was saying it because I feel very concerned about people who are hurting like this, and I want them to get their help. Go to a local emergency room if you are feeling like harming yourself or others, or just feeling like you're giving up. And please be very honest about what's going on inside of you. You can also contact the Crisis Text Line, another resource I want to give a shout out to. Text HOME to 741-741. Okay. Hopefully you can hear in these 3 different versions of someone's emotional experience the places where we can work to help people improve. We can all work to help ourselves and help each other. And as I said, these are things that are not constant. We may in general be in one space more often than the other. But if something happens, if we experience a trauma, a loss, we may find ourselves struggling in some of these areas. So this self-assessment is the beginning to help us start to understand what's affecting us and what we can do to feel better, to take better care of ourselves. Thank you for tuning in, for paying attention to your well-being, for caring about the well-being of others. Remember to go to WeBeLife.com if you want to be alerted when the app comes out. The next video we'll talk about, let's say you're sort of in the fair to poor range. What are some things you can do to start to really facilitate your well-being in this space, the emotional experience? And then another video coming after that one will focus on the next big bucket area that affects our well-being, our relationships. So I know you'll want to see that one.